Hi, I'm Jim Stendium with the North Dakota Lead Center, and I'd like to give you an overview of the new teacher and principal evaluation guidelines that will be in place beginning next year. The timeline for this started back in November when each school selected a new model for their principal evaluation. This June, you need to have selected a model for the teacher evaluation, and you will be implementing both of them by next September. At least you'll start that implementation process. You can actually phase it in over a 2 or 3 year period. To give you a sense of how things have changed, I want to have you take a look at what was in place before and what will be in place now with the new guidelines. In the past, you actually could get by with a binary process of satisfactory or unsatisfactory. With the new guidelines, you're going to be expected to have at least 4 different levels of rating for your principals and for your teachers. In the past, you were required to have an evaluation completed on every teacher and every principal, and during their first 3 years, 2 of them completed. That hasn't changed. You still will be expected to do that. The difference is the new models all expect that you're going to conduct many more observations with teachers than in the past. That's just good practice. In the past, the evaluation models were not based on standards. Now they will be. Teachers will be based on the INTAS standards, and principals will be based on the ISLIC standards. All of the models that the state has aligned and announced that were aligned for principals already meet those standards. So if you're using Marshall or Marzano or McCrell or the North Dakota template, those are aligned. And we anticipate that you're going to find those similar models approved for the teacher models also. Finally, in the past, there was no expectation that there would be any portion of the evaluation that related to student performance. That's changed, and now there is an expectation that there will be a student performance data portion of both the teacher and the principal evaluation models. There's a cycle that's just best practice that is highly recommended in the guidelines that every school should be following. And it goes like this. An orientation to the new process to begin with, followed by self-assessment, followed by goal setting, a formative process of giving feedback during the year, and a summative evaluation by March 15th. If we go through those in a little more detail, they look like this. The first time through, a real clear orientation to what the new process is. Job descriptions really ought to be aligned to the new expectations that are coming up with the principal and teacher evaluations. Teachers and principals need to understand the terminology of the new models. They need to understand the forms and the documents and the process that will be used with the new models. Secondly, there needs to be some reflection that's done by the teacher or the principal as they self-assess what their abilities are at the present time. In some cases down the road, they may use some kind of a survey, like a 360 survey, to get feedback from teachers, from classified staff, from others, as they reflect on where they are presently in their model and where they sit in terms of the different skills. From there, they'll develop a growth plan with SMART goals. Once that's developed, that'll be shared with their supervisor, and they'll carry that out during the course of the year. We highly recommend that wherever possible, principals should be connecting their plans with advanced ed expectations. They're just a natural fit, and there's just so many plates that are spinning that the more we can connect things together, the more effective we'll be. In some cases, there'll be an action plan that may be required for remediation, and that would be separate from a growth plan. So we have a growth plan that everybody will be on, an improvement plan if remediation is required. For those who are new in the profession, by December 15th, there should be feedback given. For those in the first 3 years, in the meantime, there will be the continuation of feedback and coaching that happens during the year. And then finally, when you get to the end of the year, you'll have the final report, and at that point, people will complete their self-evaluation. They'll get feedback from their supervisor, and they'll review their goals for the year. And so at that time, it's also appropriate to start looking at actions for the following year. Professional development is going to be key through all of this. And so principals and teachers need to work in collaboration, and there needs to be an ongoing professional development process. This is a lot of work to do. And so with all of that, there's a lot of plates that are spinning. And so the more you can align for principals, the advanced ed and ISLIC standards, the more effective that will be in terms of time management. Just to give you a sense of what's happening across the state, the red dots here represent those schools that have adopted the Marshall Plan for their principals. The yellow is those who have adopted the Marzano Plan. Green are the North Dakota template and will probably be the Danielson Plan. You have a few unique situations out there where you have a superintendent who is also the principal. And when that occurs, those people need to follow the guidelines for the superintendent by law and how they are evaluated. We recommend that they do some kind of a survey from their staff, getting feedback on their principal side, that they use that input in establishing some goals that they share with the board in terms of the principal side of their job. You also have K-8 buildings where there is no superintendent. And once again, we recommend that they use some kind of a survey with their staff to get feedback on how they're performing on those principal guidelines and share some goals from that with the school board. We're working on the idea of developing a set of outside consultants who may be available for smaller districts or for those districts where they have combined to come in and provide additional feedback for the principal. So a quick summary is that new systems will be in place for most districts. It's going to require training and support. It's going to require more time. And it's going to require learning new things. We think you might want to consider adding additional help or removing some of the things that have been done in the past to provide the kind of time that it'll require. Thank you for your time listening to this.